Welcome everyone to the newest episode of Reels Movies. This is an uncensored movie review podcast. I am your host, Z. Today we're going back in time. That's right. With the upcoming release of Pet Sematary, why not go back and revisit the first two? So we will be covering 1989's Pet Sematary. I'm not going to give a spoiler warning because this movie is 30 years old. And if you have not seen it by now, you obviously have no care to see it anyway. Pet Sematary is based on the book written by legendary horror writer Stephen King. I have read Pet Sematary. Oh, this is a long time ago. I can't really remember it. I want to say I read it back in high school. Really enjoyed the book. So I'm not going to be comparing book and movie. This is straight movie. It's been a while, since I said it's been a while since I read the book. So I can't really remember so much compared to both. But this review is solely based on the movie.
What is this place?
I brought you here to bury Alan's cat.
Daddy, is church all right?
Why, Judd?
I have my reasons.
I dreamed he got hit by a car and you and Mr. Crandall buried him in the Pet Sematary.
What did we do tonight, Judd?
What we did, Lois, was a secret.
May the Lord bless you and keep you.
Has anyone ever buried a person up there?
May the Lord make his face to shine upon you.
You're thinking thoughts best not thought of.
Daddy's gonna do something really bad.
You're thinking of putting them up there. Don't deny the thought hadn't crossed your mind.
Come back to me, Gage. Come back to us.
So Pet Sematary is directed by Mary Lambert. This is her second movie she directed. She's mostly known for directing music videos with Madonna. She did Like a Prayer, Like a Virgin, Material Girl. But she's mostly known for her work as director of Pet Sematary and also Pet Sematary 2 that will be covered next week. But she's mostly known at this time as the music video queen. Pet Sematary stars Dale Midkiff as Lewis Creed. Dale pretty much done TV movies, a few guest spots here and there. You know, nothing too earth-shattering. Also, Fred Gwynne as Judd Crandall. Fred's very legendary at this time. He was in the series Car 54, Where Are You? And he's best known as Herman Munster from the Munsters series, TV show, the small little movies they did. Pretty much best known for that. And I would say, my opinion, his greatest role is Judge Haller from My Cousin Vinny. If you haven't seen My Cousin Vinny, I really highly recommend that movie. He's a great role in that. He does a great job. He died shortly after that was released back in 1992. Then you have Denise Crosby playing Rachel Creed, Lewis's wife. Denise, it's kind of same thing as Dale Midkiff. TV roles, nothing too here or there, but she's probably best known from Star Trek The Next Generation as Lieutenant Tasha Yar. Anything else is if you've seen her here or there. Finally, you have Miko Hughes as Gage Creed. This is his first movie. He was 3 years old. And a little fun fact is the studio obviously wanted twins for the role of Gage because usually they have twins for roles. They had a twin for Ellie on this, but Mary Lambert loved Miko so much for the role. She fought hard to get it. She said he would give the best performance, and I think he did. You might have seen Miko in movies like Spawn, Mercury Rising with Bruce Willis. He played Heather Langenkamp's son in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And he also had a role in Kindergarten Cop, as you can see here.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Well, You taught them the basics. That's important.
We meet the family after a long trip from Chicago. We meet Lewis, Rachel, Ellie, and Gage. Obviously, Ellie just runs around cartwheeling, getting on tire swings, all that stuff. You see Gage, cute little Gage, 3 years old, veers off to the road and almost gets hit, but saved by good old Judd, the neighbor across the street. And we really learned how dangerous the road is that's in between the house. You see the semi trucks coming back and forth like at all hell speeds. Like it's seriously crazy how fast they're going. They asked Judd about the path that's leading to the woods.
Yeah, that's a good story. A good walk. I'll take you up there sometime.
We go to Lewis's first day at the University of Maine. A jogger who's hit by the bus, Victor Pascal. Lewis tries to save him, but obviously he dies. You can see blood and his brain's just out there. Lewis sits there, kind of feels regret, guilty that you couldn't save him, and all of a sudden, bam! Pascal wakes up, warns him about the pet cemetery, and even calls him by name, and they've never met before. Pascal appears as a ghost that night and tells Lewis that he wants to help him because he tried to help him. Lewis thinks he's dreaming, like everyone would if you see a ghost like this. Pascal leads him down the path to the pet cemetery, and they go there. And Pascal points to this shrubbery, I guess, or like a path, or kind of like a covered up path that's highlighted in blue, and tells him never to go further. And Lewis just kind of thinks he's dreaming. Pascal floats up, and then Lewis wakes up thinking it was all a dream, but obviously he takes off the covers from bed and sees his feet are all muddy. Then we flash forward to Thanksgiving. Rachel is going to her parents for Thanksgiving. She's taking Gage and Ellie. Lewis doesn't want to go. I guess there's some issues between him and her dad, saying, obviously they don't accept him. It's been what? They've been together. It's never really said. You gotta think Ellie is probably 7, 6 maybe. So 6 years and they still haven't approved of him? Whatever. I mean, it's possible, but still. It seems like it's just like a story trope. Judd finds Church. Ellie's cat gives Lewis a call. Lewis comes over and gives a great performance when he checks it out, for such a heartbreaking scene. Because we've seen Church throughout the movie, and, he just goes,
"Yep, that's Church, all right."
And it is Church, so he's saying Ellie will be very heartbroken, and Judd gives a great idea. So you gotta think about this. This movie, this stuff. It's Judd's fault. Judd started this. He planted the idea in Lewis's head of what happened. So all the blame on this whole movie and the whole events, it's Judd's fault. That's my opinion. I'm sure other people have said the same thing, but it is my opinion. On a little journey, long journey to this Indian burial ground. It's like very, very far away from the pet cemetery. And I remember from the book, there is about the Wendigos, but it's never really mentioned here. Hopefully, maybe in the remake they will. But I know Wendigos played a big story on the Indian burial ground. Judd tells Lewis he has to bury his own, while Judd sits there and smokes. The next day, Church returns, gives Lewis a scare, and Lewis has a comedy fall, so to speak. He checks out Church and he stinks, not the same. He's very aggressive to Lewis. He scratches Lewis across the face. Then Lewis goes and finds out what it is, and Judd tells him the story about him burying his dog's spot and returning, and the dog returned and is very vicious. And then he finally had to kill him. Lewis asks if there's ever been a person buried up there, and Judd obviously is like shocked, and he says just like, no. Why would you ever think that? No. Just pretty much putting that story into bed. Like here, we're seeing Dale. His acting has not been like the greatest. It's very one note, not very emotional, very shallow. But Fred Gwynne's given that very thick main accent that you would want, but he's the one of the best parts of this movie. But it's just not been great. The family returns, and Ellie continues, like annoyingly, continues to ask, "Is church okay? Is church okay?" She had a dream about him being killed and him being buried at the pet cemetery. A lot of foreshadowing here with Ellie in her dreams. Then all of a sudden, we met her once, twice, maybe. The housekeeper, Missy. I don't know why this was brought up. Don't remember. I honestly don't remember this character being from the book. I know there's a lot of characters like Judd's wife, but Missy hangs herself. She had stomach cancer, I believe, and she hangs herself. She said she can't take the pain. Kind of acts weird with the family. You don't really see much of her, but she hangs herself, and honestly, they have a small funeral. Rachel doesn't even show up to the funeral. I guess she has a thing with death. And there's good old boy Stephen King as the pastor. Then that night, Lewis and Ellie have a talk about death while Rachel overhears. Lewis is given great performance.
I think we go on. Yeah.
Later, we hear Rachel telling a story about her sister Zelda, and how she pretty much was babysitting her while her parents were away, and she's obviously a young kid, and pretty much taking care of Zelda, who's being kept away like a secret, and I'm pretty much witnessing her die, and they're saying, her family's like, you hated Zelda, all that stuff. I'd say the voiceover like of Rachel telling the story. I think that was her best, voice acting. Obviously, she's been one note a lot throughout this movie, but I think her telling the story of Zelda was good so far.
Zelda's dead! Zelda's dead! Zelda's dead!
Then we have a little fun moment with the family and Judd. They're flying a kite. Lewis showing Gage how to fly a kite. Ellie wants to turn. Rachel wants to turn. Uh, Gage drops the kite. Ellie says a little fun thing.
Run away from him, that numb shit!
Then everyone's laughing. Lewis turns around laughing. The kite gets away from Gage. He's following it. He gets pretty far distance. All of a sudden, Judd notices Gage is further out going towards the road, and then Lewis runs as fast as he can. Gage is at the road, and Lewis trips. Like, literally, watching this, as soon as Lewis tripped, and like he was close to Gage, but you knew when he tripped, it was done. Because you would think, like, oh, they're not going to kill a 3-year-old, watching the movie, especially if you don't know the book. They're not going to kill him. Oh, they did. And the heartbreaking moment is just when Lewis fell, like so close to Gage, and then gives a great performance, like his yelling of no. We go to the funeral. Obviously sad time for the Creed family. Rachel's dad comes up to Lewis. They get into a fight. Actually, her dad starts it. Lewis defends himself and hits her dad into the casket, knocks it over. We see a little dead baby Gage. Again, everyone's crying. Rachel's screaming, crying into her mom, and some guy tells him it's his son's funeral. That night, we obviously see Ellie has a picture of Gage, and she cries, and you can tell by the way Judd is looking at Lewis that Lewis has that idea planted about the burial ground. And then we hear the story about Judd burying someone, or not Judd, the story about burying someone up in the Indian burial ground. Rachel goes back to Chicago with Ellie and her parents. Lewis wants to tie some things up. Ellie says she had a dream about Lewis, Gage, and Pascal, who is Pascal, just Ellie cannot talk. Lewis digs up Gage, has a little tender moment with him. Pascal shows up, tells Lewis not to, warns him, like they're like trying to get him to stop. Back in Chicago, Ellie has another bad dream and tells Rachel. She keeps saying Pascal to him, then Rachel realizes that it's Pascal, and she tries to call Lewis. She can't get a hold of him. She calls Judd, who's having a little mustard time sandwich, reading the paper. I believe he's reading the paper. Just, I don't see a TV, so I'm guessing he's reading the paper. He's really into it. And says, if he can keep an eye on Lewis. He says yes. She says she's coming home, and Judd's like, no, don't come home. And he goes, she has no other choice. She leaves. And then we also, obviously, Judd goes to the front porch, pulls out some cigarettes, and drinks some more beer, typical Judd things. We see Lewis burying Gage after the long walk. Here we go, a little weird. I don't know how you would say it. It kind of seemed like a TV series, so to speak. You have Rachel and Pascal as the ghost. He helps her get to her connecting flight, helps her get a rent-a-car. It's just so weird. She gets a rent-a-car, she gets a flat tire, runs off the road. She gets picked up by a truck, who I believe is the same trucking company that killed Gage. I believe. I'm not 100% positive, but that truck colors look very similar. When we see Gage return, he's walking, leaving footprints all over the ground. Zombie Cat Church is behind him. Finds a scalpel from Lewis's bag, and that's all we see of that. Judd suddenly wakens, looks and sees lights on it at Lewis's house. He's about to go over there, but he hears laughing from inside, and he sees footprints leading into his house. He goes in there, hears laughing, kind of looks around, goes upstairs. He knows it's Gage. He calls him and he pulls out a knife. He's looking for him. He looks under the bed. Church jumps out, distracts Judd, and a very sick. This still kind of gives me a cringe. Judd gets his Achilles tendon cut, and obviously that's a killer right there for someone, if anyone's ever had a strain at the Achilles tendon. But gets it cut. Judd falls down, and we see baby Gage, zombie baby Gage, in full glory, slices Judd across the mouth, and then bites his throat, killing him. Rachel gets dropped off by the truck. Pascal, in ghost form, says he cannot go any further. She's about to go home, but she hears laughing from Judd's place. She goes over there. You get the little small jump scare with church. Before she went inside, she hears moaning when she gets in the house. She walks up, hears moaning. She has a vision of Zelda mocking her.
Never get out of bed again! Never get out of bed again!
And then we get Gage wearing a top hat and the outfit he was buried in, I guess. I don't know. But it's very similar to the picture that you see with Rachel at her parents' house. You can see a boy with the same outfit and hat, and then you even see the little cat. Rachel is shocked, and she goes to hug Gage, but Gage pulls out the scalpel, and the last thing we hear is Rachel screaming. Lewis wakes up and almost hurts himself by waking up. After a call with Rachel's dad, wanted to speak to Rachel. Lewis dismisses it, hangs up. Then another one calls, and it's Gage.
First I played with Dad, then Mommy came, and I played with Mommy. Now I want to play with you.
You know, creepy Gage. You know, I love it. I thought it's creepy with the 3-year-old saying that and everything. I thought that was really great. Lewis goes over to Judd's, and he sees Church sitting at the front. He throws a piece of meat out there, and then grabs Church and ejects him and injects him with a shot and kills him and gives a great performance. Kind of psychotic.
Lie down. Play dead. Be dead.
Lewis walks in the house, and then there's mold everywhere. I don't understand the concept of this or the reasoning behind this, but you see mold everywhere. The whole house is destroyed. And Lewis is saying, Gage, where are you? He sees Rachel's shoe at the step that's got a nice little blood puddle. Then everything turns back to normal. He looks for Gage in the bedroom. He looks under the bed, and that's where he finds Judd dead. Very cool makeup on this dead body. He leaves the bedroom, and then Rachel's body falls from the attic, and there's Gage up there. Don't know how a 3-year-old zombie baby can put a full-grown woman up to the attic, but what have you. Gage jumps down and they fight. You know, you can tell it's very easy to tell when there's a baby and a doll in between the both. Gage stabs Lewis, cuts him up in the shoulder, chest area. After he pushes Gage away, Lewis injects Gage in the neck with a syringe, making Gage cry. Yeah, Gage is dead. Lewis gets a can of gasoline, pours it all over the house, sets it on fire, burning Gage and Judd's body up. I kind of wonder if he threw Church's dead body into the fire. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But he carries Rachel out. Pascal tells him not to bury Rachel. Lewis is saying he waited too long with Gage and that Rachel just barely knew died, which he must have think that just happened and not happened the night before. So he ignores Pascal, and we go to that night. We see Judd's house is still burning. Like, you would think the amount of cars and trucks that go on this road that they would have called the police or fire, but no, this house is still burning. I guess nobody really cares. Lewis playing solitaire, I guess, while he waits in the kitchen. Rachel opens the door. She's missing her shoe. And we see her all bloody. She has an eye cut out. And Lewis is happy. He starts kissing Rachel. Rachel grabs a knife, holds it up, and then we hear Lewis scream off screen. And I'm going to do something a little different. I'm actually going to give my grade now and give my thoughts, not give my grade at the very end. Very debating on this. I've been going back and forth. Is this a good movie? So. Good story. Acting is, this is bad acting, but I'm going to give this a C minus. I know I'm going to get hate a lot. This is a fan favorite for a lot of people, but this plays out more like a made-for-TV movie. It really does. You cannot deny the fact. The acting is weak, especially by Dale and Denise. Dale's moments, they are awful. He shows no emotional ability when he finds Church. His one-liners, it's so soft, it's so monotone. It's just, Fred Gwynne, even though he does give a good performance in most times, it's very his thick accent he's given on is really hard to really understand him. Like I said, the story is good overall. I'm not compared to the book. I can't remember much about the book, but it has a good story. It really does. I do think that Pet Sematary is probably one of the best of works of Stephen King. I mean, he's got a bunch of other ones, but one of my favorites is Pet Sematary. But the movie just doesn't work for me. It doesn't do anything. I could not get into the acting. It just seems a lot of boring. I don't honestly see the story of Zelda. I don't think it did anything for Rachel because she kind of plays a minor character compared to Judd and Lewis. Even Gage, she doesn't play a minor character. Doesn't do anything for us. The housekeeper had no impact on the story whatsoever. They could have just erased that. They could have had something else with to bring up Ellie being asking about death and everything. And Ellie was so annoying, just kept asking about church while Lewis just kept giving the same answer. She was just so annoying. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode of Reels Movies. Be sure to check out the newest episodes this coming weekend. You can hit that subscribe button, click the bell to receive notifications, then you'll always know when a new episode has been posted. I'll see you guys later.